All right, so in this unit, we're just going to have a brief chat about people management. And again, hopefully, this should be able to help those of you that are struggling um, to have some of the group team members actually put in that work into the project, right? And yes, we're thinking about people like Chengo and I don't know if it's Mtinta or something. Um, but this complaint that there are some project team members that are not contributing their equal share towards the project, right? So hopefully this discussion with people management should be able to give you ideas on how to manage people, right? Because it's centered around people management. Granted that this sort of thing would probably be the role of the project manager, I guess, if you're working on a project, or in certain instances it would be the role of HR or something, right? All right, so and I guess the part that's probably going to be useful is this brief discussion about motivation, how to motivate people, I guess. Okay. It turns out this is an important part of project management because arguably one of the most important assets of a software development organization are people, right? The human beings that are going to be working as part of the project. So you want to make sure that they're all taken care of, that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so it goes without saying that one of the roles of a project manager or a manager is to be a people-oriented type of person. If you're unable to understand people, then the overall management of the project won't really be a success, right? And it turns out that actually poor people management has been cited as a contributing factor to project failures. I wonder if we can find literature that will support this claim. I'll see if we can add resources onto the Moodle side to try and help us understand this even further, right? I've had friends that have actually resigned from companies just because they felt the people they worked under were just not nice, right? Perhaps they were rude or something. Perhaps they felt disrespected. So proper people management is really crucial to overall project success. Now, if you go up online, you'll find funny things like companies introducing funny cultures like, is it pub Friday or something, where the entire project team will go to a pub on a Friday or something. The people I was working with over the vacation will probably now begin to appreciate why I brought or we had a few sessions where we played board games together, right? It's a way of trying to manage people, right? You want to make sure that people feel comfortable working on the project, that people are happy, right? It's all part of people management anyway. It's linked to motivation. But anyway, so some of the things that would tend to influence this whole notion of people management include consistency, right? So you want to make sure that you treat people fairly and equally, right? You don't want to be a sort of manager or project manager that discriminates against people, right? This is perhaps one of the reasons why you find that people with the same qualification in organizations would tend to be paid more or less the same amount of money, or at least amount of money that is in the same range, right? If you are working as part of an organization, as a manager, if your organization has a mix of people from different genders, for instance, you want to make sure that those are treated equally, right? Obvious things like respect as well. So you want to make sure that people are respected. Sometimes it can be frustrating, especially if people are not putting in the required effort, but you want to make sure that you're respectful, right? And also, you want to make sure that the environment people are working within is an inclusive environment. This is actually becoming more and more important, or it's important in certain parts of the world where you have diverse groups of people, right? So diversity in terms of people's religious affiliation, people's genders, people's ethnicities, for instance, right? You want to make sure that the environment people are working within is inclusive and welcoming. So if we are working, and I hope, I'm not sure if this is the case, but assuming you are working as part of a project that has people with different religious affiliations, you have to be mindful of the fact that some people might not be comfortable working on certain days of the week, right? So what do? You come up with a plan such that the meeting times, the interaction times of the groups do not interfere with people's personal activities. I mean, the honesty part is a no-brainer here. You want to make sure that you are honest about what is going on as part of the project. If there are bad things happening in the project, you want to make sure that people that are working as part of that project are kept in the loop, or they're well informed. All right, so an important part, another important part of project manager here is to ensure that the people working on the project are motivated, right? Now, motivation simply means organizing the work and the environment in such a way that people are encouraged to work effectively, right? You want to make sure that people look forward to reporting for work and actually working on the project. In most instances, the primary motivating factor, at least last time I checked really, is usually the money associated with the work somebody is doing, right? But really motivation transcends so many different areas, right? It's much more than money. Motivation could be linked to the environment within which somebody is working in, right? Motivation, somebody could be motivated by the mere fact that they like the people that they work with, right? So you want to make sure that you ensure that the work is organized in such a way that somebody is motivated to work effectively. In as much as the people that are experts in this area will tell you that motivation is complex, but it turns out that it boils down to certain key things, right, associated with human nature. So you'd potentially be, well, you would actually potentially link, or motivation can be linked to an individual's basic needs, their personal needs, and their social needs, right? So the basic needs would be, in this case, linked to the remuneration, so the amount of money that they're going to be compensated after putting in the work. In the case of your projects, in case you're wondering, the motivation would be the grade that you're getting upon successful completion of the project. So personal needs would be things associated with respect and self-esteem, right? And then the social needs would be the people being or feeling that they're a part of the group, right? So it doesn't matter if your group is composed of people or people that didn't necessarily want to be a part of that group, but you can still create a welcoming environment or an environment that will make it possible for group members to feel that they're part of the group, that they're accepted, right? It's not that hard. I mean, it's simple things like just deciding as a group to say you will interact much more outside of you discussing the project, right? So you could say maybe once every 2 weeks or once a week, when we get back to campus, of course, once a week we just meet for lunch and just chat about things that have nothing to do with the project, just personal things, right? Social needs could involve you just checking up on your project team members, right? Just to see if they're doing fine. I mean, if someone is not showing up for meetings, rather than blasting them, what you could do is just try and first of all reach out to them to find out if they're fine, if they need help with anything, right? And it turns out so-called Maslow's hierarchy of needs best puts all these things into context. So the basic needs, personal needs, and social needs. In case you want to look it up here, there's this hierarchy that organizes the different factors that influence people's motivations, right? So at the bottom of this pyramid would be the physical needs, right? So this would be basic needs. the things that people need to survive. Again, if we're to tie this to our project, for you to survive, in this case, we're saying passing the course, right? So you have physical needs at the base of the pyramid, and then safety needs, social needs, esteem needs, and then finally self-realization needs, right? If you want to understand this pyramid much more, I just put it here just because I mean, it's in the prescribed text, but also it's discussed extensively whenever motivation is being discussed in software project management. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You just Google up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you should be able to get more comprehensive description about these different aspects here. And I think there should be a Wikipedia page for Maslow's hierarchy of needs also. Let me just see if I can. Maslow. Yeah, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Should be a Wikipedia page. Right, yeah, so, all right. Again, as project manager, in as much as the discussion for this lecture series is centered around the projects we're working on, but you want to look at the bigger picture. Think of or try and relate some of these concepts that are being raised to real-world settings, right? So instances where you find yourself working as part of the large project team and you're the one managing the project team, for instance. These are things to think about. So the psychological needs would be perhaps remunerations being given to people working on the project, right? All right, so in software development groups, obviously basic physiological and safety needs are not really an issue. Again, this is because these would more or less be linked to the remuneration, the amount of money you're paying them, right? And I would like to think in the groups you're working as part of, the physiological needs shouldn't really be an issue because we know that everybody is fighting for marks, right? So that should be a good enough incentive. That's a given, right? The social needs, though, will provide would involve you providing communal facilities. So if you look up some of these large software development companies, right, or large tech companies like the Googles of this world, you'll find that they'll make mention of the fact that their campuses, so-called campuses, will have all the amenities, right? Pool tables and gaming facilities and even pods where people can sleep in, right? So sleeping pods, Google offices, right? And I knew I would find this. So all these things, right? So if you look up Google, this is what I'm talking about here. All of this is done for a reason. You want to be able to provide motivation for people to look forward to be able to go for work and put in that work, right? All these different facilities. I mean, for smaller software development companies, you don't have to go to such extremes, right? These are companies with money. What you could do is maybe put in deliberate measures to ensure that people can interact in social settings. So maybe every week you knock off early at 16, and then you go out as a group to just go and have some early dinner or supper together or something, right? Maybe you could buy lunch for the entire team every Friday or something, or every month. Some crazy thing like that, right? But the idea is to ensure that you foster a sort of environment where people can interact in a social setting. And then in terms of esteem here, you want to put in deliberate measures to be able to recognize people's achievements, right? Perhaps even give out awards or something, or rewards. And then self-realization, if you notice that someone is not capable of doing something, you send them out for training, right? So that they're trained in that particular area. You want to make sure that people are given responsibilities as well, so they feel that they are somewhat wanted or something. All right. So again, if we were to to tie this to our setting, our mini projects that we're working on. So in terms of motivating people socially here, the Odell laboratory perhaps could be used as a communal facility, right? So what you could decide to do as a group is you meet regularly in the Odell laboratory, right? And then just try and work on some aspect of the project, or just chat, right? Or maybe you go to the Gomalex or something. What you could also do is make maximum use of the social networking facilities that we've prescribed that you use as groups. So you can create a Slack channel within your workspace that would be used for informal communication, right? And I think Victor's group have created some channel where they share funny videos or something. That's fine, right? If you think that that's an important part of what you should do as a group, that's encouraged. Actually, you should think of doing things like that. I'm not quite sure how you can recognize achievement here as a group, but I don't know. Maybe just explicitly thank someone in the Slack channel or something, or whatever communication you're using as a group, right? All right, and then self-realization here, I just thought training could be linked to what we're doing in 3010 here, right? There's nothing like sending someone for training, but you just have to work hard in those complementary courses. All right, and then in terms of responsibility, again, hopefully some of these things that we've been suggesting you do, like rotating roles, are now making sense, right? Because you can easily tie them to this. For someone to be able to feel appreciated, you want to make sure that they fully participate in all the different aspects of the project, right? If you remember one of the requirements for these meetings that you are sharing in the Google Drives, we mentioned that what you should do is every time you are required to submit a status report and team meeting notes or minutes, what you should do is you should rotate the role of the scribe. So the person that is taking down the minutes or uploading things onto the Moodle, it has to be a different person all the time. The last thing you want to do is just have one person do this over and over again. You want everybody else to experience what is being done as a whole, right? All right. So it turns out that, again, tied to sorry about the noise outside. I think people have woken up now. Oh, it's already 9. So it turns out that tied to motivation, what you should appreciate is the fact that people have different personalities, right? And because people have different personalities, people need to be handled differently. This applies to the projects that we're working on. This also applies in real life, right? So some different personalities, and I'm sure hopefully people have picked up on this, right? Some people are task-oriented, some are more interaction-oriented, some people are self-oriented, right? So there's probably some people that that you're working with that get excited because of the different tasks that you're taught to work on as a group, right? Some of the people that you end up working with, or some people might be motivated by the presence or actions of other people that they're working with. Maybe some people are more really triggered by the personal success and recognition associated with what they're doing, right? So these are all different things to think about, right? And really this doesn't just apply to software development, it actually applies in real life as well. And hopefully, I mean, just by looking at these just broad definitions of personality types, you can already link them to the different lecturers that teach you, right? Maybe some lecturers are more task-oriented or something, some are interaction-oriented, or some are self-oriented, who knows, right? Right, so this is just, I guess, a repetition of what I have here. What we're saying is task-oriented people are motivated. The motivation for doing the work is the work itself. For the self-oriented personality type, the work is generally a means to an end here, right? And then for interaction-based people, the motivation is the presence of the people that they're working with. So These are people that would enjoy going to work because they know they're going to be in the presence of other people that they like being a part of. So something to do for fun. There are a number of sites out there that will allow you identify different personality types associated with people. Maybe what you could do for fun as a group is just go to the server project, right, and then try and see if all the group members can take this test and then try and identify personality types associated with the different group members forming your group, right? All right, so there has to be a balance though, right? You want to make sure, under normal circumstances, you want to make sure that the group you're working with has a balance of people with all these different personality types. Although it's too late now, seeing as you've already formed groups, but in the future, I guess, something to think about as part of ICT 4014, I guess. All right, but a point to remember here is people are not just motivated by personal factors, right? Could be motivated by the culture, for instance. I've seen this happen, actually. It's kind of interesting because at fourth year, when you work on capstone projects, you self-organize into groups. So you're not, you go through the same process that you went through where you identify people you want to work with. And what I've noticed is in any given year, I almost always have a group of students that will be all females, for instance, right? Which is, I've always been surprised. And in certain instances, it's people from similar majors. So the people doing lists have two majors. It's a double major program. So this year, for instance, I'm working with a group of 4 females who are both, I think, majoring in, should be PA or something, right? So I guess they've done that because they're motivated by the fact that they are both doing the same course. So the culture is somewhat similar, right? Who knows? All right. So hopefully this is I guess it gives you an idea, a sneak preview of some things to look at insofar as people management is concerned. And key to this really is this whole notion of motivation, right? If you ever find yourself in a role where you're a project manager and you're involved with a recruitment process, you probably want to make sure that you have a mix of people with all these different personality types. Piece of advice at fourth year, during a final year project, you want to make sure that you choose people perhaps based on personalities as well. You take these into account. All right, so in the next unit, we're just going to discuss teamwork. I'll see you in the next unit. Thanks.